Is everybody good? Okay, again, so this one is mean, and you know sigma. This one is mean, and you know S. This one is proportion. Okay, to help you just kind of remember how to find each of these things. Okay, so as I'm looking at these ones to get each of these intervals, what we did is we put in the given pieces of information and we used it in the Z interval because in the stem I gave you what sigma was. Okay? All right, now, for each of these I asked you to find the margin of error. I don't think many of you made this mistake, but I'm going to talk about this mistake because it's the one that happens the most often. Okay? When you do the margin of error, like if I'm doing the margin of error for this first one, I'm going to do the upper boundary minus the sample value. That will give me my margin of error. My other option is to find the distance between the two and then cut that in half. Okay, but one interval is 2 margin of errors wide. Is everybody okay? All right, other than that, I just strictly told you to find the intervals and then find the margins. Your description for this part needs to say something along the line. You can do a mathematical explanation, you can do a logical explanation, okay? But in general, the margin of error is Z times sigma over the square root of n. So the mathematical explanation is larger values in my fraction, in the bottom of my fraction, are going to decrease my margin of error. If you also said instead something like, oh, if I have a larger sample, I know more about my population, I'm comfortable with less wiggle room. That would also be an appropriate explanation because that's kind of how we talked about it when we talked about Mr. Paletta and estimating his age. Okay? All right. Questions on kind of number 1? Okay. I feel like number 2 is pretty self-explanatory. This one, because this is about a proportion, you have a p hat, and we would have found this interval using the 1 prop z int. Everybody good? A reminder that when I'm grading each thing, so, the interval here might be worth 2 points, then this might be worth a point, this might be worth a point, and then labeling that interval might be the last 2 points. Okay? Oh, actually, the whole, addicted to caffeine, what are we estimating? That context is going to be really important. Okay? Questions on the first page? Okay. All right, on your formula sheets, which I have sitting out, no, I don't, of course. A reminder, you'll have a formula sheet for the test. Okay, so if you're asked to determine sample size, okay, you have 2 formulas. You have one that says n equals z squared p hat q hat over e squared. The other one says n equals z times sigma over e, the quantity squared. Okay? Is everybody good? So how do I decide? It even says this is the one for proportions. This is the one for means. So as I'm looking at this one, we're trying to find it within 0.75 of the actual mean. So I'm going to use this one because that's the one for means. Okay? The other thing for sample size is no matter what you get, it needs to be a whole number and it needs to round up. Everybody good? And those are, they're on here, they're on the formula sheet you'll get for the test. Okay, so you don't have to have those memorized at all. You'll just have to be able to correctly identify the right one to use. Okay? Everybody okay? All right. So this is about, we're trying to find a population mean, and I didn't tell you the population standard deviation, so this we would have found by using the t interval. You got to make sure you're going to type those in correctly, okay? Typically, if your interval's close to mine, and like, typically I can figure it out if it's just like you type 23 as 24 or something like that, okay? But you want to double check as you're typing those in that they match up, all right? All right, now, for this part C, where you're trying to decide is a number the correct number, what you do is you say, is it in the interval or not? Okay, so if my interval had gone from 30.2 to 34.3, this answer would be people are speeding because the entire interval is bigger than 30 miles per hour. Do you guys see what I'm saying there? Okay, so you're trying to decide, to make the decision on this question, you're looking at, is that key number, is it inside the interval or not? This is all the possible means, population means. Okay, so you're just trying to decide if, on average, this is one of the possible means, yes or no. Okay, everybody good? Questions on this page? All right. All right, I kind of shifted my work here a little bit, but the biggest thing is like making sure you're picking the right formula. You want to pick the one for p-hats. If you don't have a value for p-hat, we always use 0.5, okay? And if p-hat is 0.5, then q-hat is 0.5, okay? Because we wouldn't have those values until we take our sample, so our typical rule of thumb is 0.5 and 0.5. That's the widest possible margin of error you could end up with, okay? For this one, you did not necessarily need to calculate the new one, though I think it's the easiest way to do it, okay, because you're really just going in and changing a z-score around. Do we need to talk about how to find the z-scores for, or t-values, t-stars for confidence intervals? Okay, it's either inverse norm or inverse t. Your level of confidence is the middle area. Remember, inverse t only does left-hand areas. Everybody still okay? So this is everything in Unit 7. Do we have any questions about Unit 7? Talking about Unit 8, some things that were catching people yesterday. All right, your critical value, if I ask you to do your test statistic, you're either going to tell me what z equals or you're going to tell me what t equals. A lot of people are putting the p-value here, okay? The p-value is when I ask you for the p-value down here, okay? So on this, if I found it on your page somewhere, I gave you credit, okay? However, on the test, I want to know, do you know which of these values is your critical value? Do you know what is your test statistic versus your p-value? Does that make sense? So it needs to be that you know that the critical value or that test statistic is z and t from your sample, okay? Any questions? Again, pointing out areas labeled, the 0, the degrees of freedom, and somewhere on the page, whether it's on the axis or that you're giving me those critical boundaries. Everybody good? Any questions on this page?
At the end of the question, it says test the claim that the mean battery life is different from 18.
Yeah, this is one that I'd probably be a little bit flexible on. But like in theory, the claim is really Apple's claim, right? Okay. Like in this particular situation, I would say I worded the question a little poorly, but the initial claim is that the
always look for the initial claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. P-value is not p-hat, okay? P-hat is the value from the sample. The p-value is where your sample fits, okay? Your p-value, because this actually also showed up in one of in the Unit 7 lab? No, the first of the 2 Unit 8 labs. Your p-value and your proportion, like this number is not 55, it's 55%, okay? So the p-values and overall proportions have to be smaller than 1. Okay, now on the lab I didn't ding people for it, but also like as I graded your lab, I made those notes. There were people here who said 1.67. Your p-value is technically a probability. Okay, and so it cannot be bigger than 1. This wasn't 1.67, it was 1.67 e negative 23 on your calculator. Okay, so there will be less flexibility on this. Okay, that if you give me a p-value bigger than 1, you're actually cardinally showing me you don't understand that p-value is a probability. And that would be problematic. Okay? All right. In terms of what's on the test, if it's in one of these packets, it's on the test. So if you have questions, like this is if you want to know what do I need to know to be successful, this is it. So are we sure we don't want to ask any other questions? All right, I know that a lot of you still have some lab work to do, so the rest of the class period, work on labs, get yourself ready to go. Like I said, the labs are due at essentially 10:15 on Thursday. Seem reasonable? Like the goal of the labs is to help you be successful on the test and understand the concepts that are on said test. That's when they are due. After the test, doesn't make sense to do the labs.